Hello class and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting fractions. And before we talk about adding and subtracting, I want to really talk about just what are fractions, what are some of the different forms we talk about. So the first two we look at are mixed numbers, which is a whole number and a fraction combined. So taking a look at our example here, if we have 8 3/4, that is a mixed number where the numerator of the fraction is less than the denominator. But what happens if we switch that? That's when we have an improper fraction. A fraction with a greater numerator than denominator. Okay, and that's our example here where 35 is greater than 4. So this is called improper because it doesn't have a part out of a whole. It's actually greater than those parts. So first we talk about converting from a mixed number to an improper fraction because I'm going to tell you now that it's easier to add improper fractions than mixed numbers. So to convert, we multiply the whole number in front by the denominator and then add the numerator. So this is what it looks like. So 6 1/4. To turn it into a improper fraction, we multiply the bottoms, okay, and then we add the top. So we multiply it and then we add. So 6 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21 over 4. Keep the denominator the same. And the next one, if I do 3 times 5, that's 15, plus 2, that's 17. So 17/5. And lastly, let's check out these last two. 10 times 7 is 70, plus 6 is 76 over 7. And for the last one, 4 times 8 plus 3 Okay, so to add or subtract fractions, I already told you that we need a improper fraction. So steps. Here are the 4 steps to try and add or subtract these problems. So when you're going through these, you can simply follow along. The steps: convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. This is that converting first. So convert mixed numbers, remember, multiply, add, and so on. Then find a common denominator. This means that it's the same bottom part of our fraction. So if we have 1/2 and 1/4, our common denominator has to be a number that these numbers both go into. And then we're going to convert each fraction to match those. Then we're just going to add or subtract the numerators. We cannot add straight across both top and bottom. We only can add numerators together. Then always reduce your answer at the end. So let's put this into practice and take a look. Alright, so here are some simple examples here. So again, our steps are up here. Convert to mixed number first, find a common denominator, add or subtract, and then reduce. Okay, so taking a look here, 2/5 plus 3 over 8. So we're taking a look. So first I want to show you a method that is the easiest way to do. It's finding your easiest common denominator. That's just going to be 5 times 8. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to match up. So 5 times 8 we already said was going to be 40. Okay, we're going to add that to another fraction over 40. Now what did I do to get 5 to become 40? I multiplied by 8, right? And remember, to keep an equivalent fraction, we want these to be equivalent, we must multiply top and bottom by the same number. So we multiply by 8, multiply by 8, that gives us 16/40. Okay, if we reduce that, we would get the 2/5. Then over to this other side, how did I get 8 to become 40? I multiplied by 5. Very good. And then what I need to do to the top, I do to the bottom. 5 times 3 is 15. Now I have common denominators. These 40s are the same. Think of 40 slices of pizza, 16 of them and 15 of them. Okay, that's what we have, that's what we're going to add together. So our answer is also going to be out of 40. So we're going to keep the same denominator. 16 plus 15 is 31. So 31/40 is our final answer. Now this is where we always reduce, but 31 is a prime number, we cannot reduce it, so therefore we're done. Let's take a look at another one. If I take a look at number 9 down here, let's look at a subtraction problem. We have the same exact fractions, but we're going to be subtracting in this case. Nothing changes. We don't even need to worry about the subtraction until we get to this step. So again, this becomes 16 over 40. Okay, and then subtracting 15 over 40. It's the same exact process as what we just did on the top. So 2 over 5 is 16/40, an equivalent fraction, and then 3/8 is 15/40 as well. When you answer these problems, again, 16 minus 15 is 1/40. 1/40. So we subtracted that fraction. Again, we got 1/40 instead of 31/40 when we added. I'm going to do 2 more problems with you, and then I'm going to let you try the rest on your own. So let's take a look at number 6. Number 6, we have 2 improper fractions again. We're already starting with the improper. 11/6 plus 11 over 15. Now this is the second process that I found. So this was the easiest common denominator. Okay, this one is going to be a least common denominator, or LCD. Okay, so the least common denominator. We're going to talk about least common multiples later on. This is the least common denominator. So to find this, we find a number that both 6 and 15 go into. So looking up here, let's take a look at 6. Let's take a look at the multiples of 6. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Then we get 18, 24, 30. Okay, now let's take a look at the multiples of 15. 15, 30, 45, and so on. Okay, so if I look here, what's the first number that both of these have in common? 30, right? So 30 is going to be our least common denominator, and this is actually how you find least common multiple later on in the course. So looking at our least common denominator, how did I get 6 to become 30? Remember, we have to keep the denominators the same. 6 to 30, we multiply by 5, so we must multiply by 5 over 5. 5 times 11 is 55. And let's take a look at this side. 15 times 2, so that was 2 over 2. 11 times 2, and 15 times 2. That's 22. So therefore, our answer becomes over 30, 77. Can we reduce that? No, we can't. So there is our final answer. Okay. One more before I let you go and work on the last 4 on your own. Let's take a look at 10. 7/6 minus 7/9. So we're going to use the same process up here. Okay, so again, our multiples of 6, we get 6, 12, 18, 24, right? Okay, our multiples of 9, 9, 18, 27, and so on, right? But 18 are the first 2 that are going to be the same, so those are the 2 that we're going to use. So over 18, we're going to subtract. Again, so taking a look at 7/6, how did I get 6 to become 18? I multiplied by 3. So what's 7 times 3? 21. So I can leave that as itself. So remember, if it's an improper fraction to start, it's going to be an improper fraction to end. And then 7/9. 7/9, we have to multiply by 2 over 2. So that gives us 2/18. 21 minus 2 is 19/18. And that is our final answer. So go ahead if you want to pause the video right now. I'm going to reveal the answers in just a second for all the problems if you want to check your work then. So in conclusion, if you guys want to check your answers here, 7, 8, 11, and 12, we have 71/10, 49/24, 49/30, and 11/12. One thing to keep in mind when you're dealing with fractions and you're looking at the end result, make sure that you haven't just forgotten to reduce. So these answers may be the same answers you have, but you didn't reduce far enough. One thing I did want to point out that we didn't talk about is make sure that you do create all mixed numbers as improper fractions. So each one of these you should have turned into an improper fraction first and then went through and solved the rest of the way. So remember our 4 steps: convert to improper, find a common denominator, or the number on the bottom, make sure they are the same. Just add or subtract the numbers straight across the top, keep the bottom number the same, and then always reduce your answer. This has been Mr. Korb. Thanks for watching this video. Please stay tuned for the rest of Chapter 1, which is fractions, and have a great rest of the day.